Another comment that I would like to highlight is that, well, when we talk about world governance, because after all, that is the crux of the matter here, isn't it? That is the main feature of this conference. So, world governance cannot be efficient unless it is built on mutual respect amongst peoples of the world who, for whatever reasons, the Cold War, colonialism, didn't really listen to each other. So we have to do away with all the different forms of unilateralism. And the only way we can build good governance is through a mutual respect and by listening to each other, by understanding each other, and by making the effort of understanding the other person's point of view, even if one doesn't necessarily agree with that point of view. So I think the key word here is curiosity and particularly tolerance, because at the end of the day, the cross-cutting value that covers all the principles that I just mentioned is indeed tolerance. And tolerance is in the interest of one and all. Now, this is a concept that is quite common. We have to make sure, I will use the old-fashioned term of it has to be a win-win solution for all. And in order to do this, we need the political will to move forward. This will only be achieved if all the main players of the world, and not just the main players, indeed, the smaller players have a key role to play as well. And so this will only be possible if all the players of the world show the will to move ahead through cooperation and dialogue. Another point that is linked to what I just said is that the future rules of this new form of governance has to be as inclusive as possible. We do have a lot to learn from others, and we have a lot to achieve with the so-called southern countries. So the future rules of the game will only be legitimate if they have been designed with the participation of one and all. And that is the very drawback of the current form of governance, i.e. that this governance and all the rules that govern this way of proceeding was only decided on with the participation of a few. And we can only be efficient if we are legitimate. There is a very strong link between efficiency and legitimacy. And lastly, I would like to talk about one last point, that is to say, the regional versus the national rationale. Now, a large number of issues facing the world cannot be resolved at the highest possible level. Now, this is very similar with the subsidiarity principle that is applied in the European Union. The architecture of the future world governance will pay more attention to regional structures and the links between the regional and the global levels. Now, the EU obviously fits into this scheme of things. Now, these very general across-the-board principles apply in particular, of course, to the economic field. And we have observed in the current financial crisis, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this extensively this morning once again, in this financial crisis we can observe a true crisis when it comes to confidence, precisely entirely due to this lack of cooperation in the past between the different institutions and the different governments in charge of these issues. It's not merely a technical problem, as Jean-Claude Trichet mentioned yesterday. If there is a lack of confidence currently, it is not entirely due to technical reasons. It is because the institutions have not found the right modus operandi when it comes to cooperation. Well, as I said earlier, I won't necessarily take the floor again this morning, except to formally welcome Presidents Medvedev and Sarkozy. So to conclude, or by way of pre-conclusion, let's say, to this World Policy Conference, I would just like to say that just like all very first conferences, we've had a few teething problems this time as well. I'm fully aware of this. This was a first attempt, but I must say that on the whole, the outcome has been extremely encouraging. And at this point, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the teams that have participated in organizing this event, and particularly our sponsors, of course, without whom this conference would not have been possible. I would also like to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. And I would like to reiterate the fact that we will pursue this endeavor. This is the first ever World Policy Conference, but let me assure you that there will be a second one and even possibly a third and fourth one. I think the results have been sufficiently encouraging to boost us into going even further. So, I'd love to meet you once again in next autumn, and why not in an emerging country next time. Before I give the floor to our two moderator friends who will moderate this first session, I would like to say to everyone present in this room that I would like to thank you for your kindness and for being here. Thank you very much.